Coming up on the Civil Discourse, lifelong community advocate Sister Mary Scullion and Rashann Stevens, a resident of Project Home in Philadelphia, discuss their work to alleviate homelessness and provide essential resources for those in need.
Homelessness is an extreme form of poverty, and many people are poor in our country.
Well, for me, going into homelessness, it was traumatizing. I became homeless at 12.
Hello and welcome to the Civil Discourse. I'm your host, Paula Marantz Cohen, speaking to you from Project Home in Philadelphia. Project Home is a 30-year-old organization that seeks housing, employment, medical care, and education for those experiencing homelessness in Philadelphia. It's considered a model of its kind in the country. Project Home is led by Sister Mary Scullion, named by Time magazine as one of the world's most influential people for her service to communities in need. Sister Mary will discuss the condition of homelessness and her work to alleviate it. She's joined by Rashann Stevens, a resident of Project Home, who experienced homelessness himself for a period and has worked as a certified peer specialist helping others in this situation. Sister Mary, Rashann, welcome to the Civil Discourse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'd like to begin our discussion with Rashann before moving on to our interview with Sister Mary. Rashann, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So could you tell us a little bit about your experience with homelessness, perhaps how you became homeless, and then what that experience was like?
Well, for me, going into homelessness, it was traumatizing. I became homeless at 12, between a physical altercation between me and my stepfather. And after that, my mother had chose to proceed to kick me out. From there, I resided to the street, first it was house hopping, from friend to friend, trying to, make excuses, my parents said I could stay here, or things like that. And then I just tailored to the street more, like becoming a drug dealer, trying to stay away from the system, stay away from the police, which in some cases wasn't 100% for me. Just trying to stay away from specific areas that I knew wasn't good for me. A lot of times I've, ran into grown men who was calling me, trying to, get me to come over to them. I ran into situations where I've been jumped, thrown in basements, things like that. So throughout everything, I tried to stay afloat, but between going to jail for a life sentence and becoming homeless, it was pretty much the same.
And this was starting at age 12. Until what age? When did Project Home enter your life?
Project Home didn't come until I was about 18. Up until 17, I was just in the street trying to survive. At 17, going on to 18, I went to the Covenant House, which is a shelter in Germantown. And then I was there for about 3-4 months, and then went to the transitional housing. And then I stayed there for about 11 months, 12 months. And then Project Home, I got into Project Home and started staying at one of the housing sites.
So, as you said, it sounds like it was a traumatizing experience. 4 years, essentially 3 years of being on the street and feeling that you had no recourse to anything. And you mentioned the police. Tell us a little bit about what your interactions were with law enforcement.
I was locked up. I was mainly locked up only one time on record for aggravated assault and resisting arrest. Other times it was pretty much just catching me. But I've never been, jail time, which I'm very grateful for. But many of the times I ran into problems with law enforcement.
Did people realize you were a child?
I was kind of big for my age, so
Well,
I'm not too sure what they did.
Interesting. So Project Home, because that's the subject of our discussion, and I will be speaking with Sister Mary. Tell us about your experience with that and how it helped you, because you're certainly on track for a good life right now.
Well, when I first came into Project Home, I had they give you a young adult counselor, somebody who works with you one-on-one. They have a lot of things you could benefit from, a lot of programs. So coming into Project Home, I was looking for employment. I was already working for, I believe, Starbucks at the time, and they had a job opening for a maintenance position at one of their sites called the Hub of Hope, which is where the homeless mainly go day by day. So I started there as maintenance, and then within about 6 months, towards the following year, I went through a training to become a certified peer specialist, in which those are people who can relate to homeless people or people through trauma based off real life experiences.
I see. Tell me something for those of us who, when we walk through the streets and we see someone who's homeless, what do you feel as someone who's been there? What is the best way to respond?
I believe when you look at a homeless person, they're afraid. They're instantly scared. They're already in defense mode. I think the best thing to do is if you do approach them, which I show you intend to, I believe you should intend to help them. But if you do approach them with, of course, with caution, because you never know what they're feeling or what they're going through. But make sure you do it with the intent to help, because it's hard day by day. Being the only person, looking after yourself, not knowing where you're gonna eat, not knowing where you're gonna sleep or shower and things like that. And many times, being in the streets and being homeless, you do things you don't want to do. And I found myself going through a lot of those paths, doing things you don't want to do in order to survive. It's pretty much just a survival. So I think the main thing would be to just understand that they're in one of the worst places in life that they can be.
So I want to thank you so much, Rashann, for being with us today. I think you've shed some light on this important issue.
Thank you for having me.
Now we'll turn to Sister Mary Scullion, who is President, Executive Director, and co-founder of Project Home. Sister Mary, welcome.
Thanks, Paula.
I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about what it is in your early life, in your background, that made you become so involved in social justice issues.
I'd say when I was in grade school and high school, and then my early days at St. Joe's, social justice was always a critical component of our education. So I had many opportunities to volunteer, tutoring kids, working at a camp for underprivileged children, working in soup kitchens, and that led me to working with women that were homeless at St. John's Hospice. And from there, the rest is history.
So this was a calling you felt from an early age?
Yes, I was always involved in service work and always had a passion for it and a love. And
it was connected, I guess, to your feeling, your spiritual sense of self.
Correct, yes. The idea of service was very much a part of my religious or faith upbringing as well, and my family. So it just all merged. And
so you became involved with homeless women first, you said, and then
correct.
I guess it expanded to include a larger group. Could you tell us about, from your long experience with this problem, what is it that causes homelessness? If you could just, enumerate what you feel.
Well, the fundamental cause of homelessness is poverty.
Yeah.
Homelessness is an extreme form of poverty.
Mm-hmm.
And many people are poor in our country. What throws someone into homelessness that's poor can be a variety of factors. One of the really important factors is healthcare. The largest percentage of people in foreclosure is due to a healthcare crisis in their life. And for people who actually live on the street, a lot of times it's behavioral health issues, mental health, addiction, and or a physical disability.
So having access to healthcare is absolutely crucial.
Correct.
In this case. Now, the opioid epidemic, which is currently, we're in the throes of that, has certainly made things worse in some ways. Can you tell us about how that's changed the nature of homelessness in this city, and maybe comparing to, the crack cocaine epidemic that occurred, was it in the 1980s? Yeah.
Addiction, addiction and mental illness are equal opportunity diseases. But when you're poor or extremely poor, it can be enough to put you on the street. And that was certainly the case in Skid Row with alcoholism, many, many years ago. And then in the 80s with cocaine and crack. And now most recently with the opioid addiction. The unfortunate part of that is that with each one of those addictions, they seem to grow more powerful. So alcoholism is a very, very powerful addiction. Crack cocaine, the same thing. But opioids are like much, much greater a hold on people than even alcoholism or crack cocaine.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's clinically, proven that the addiction is much more intense. So the ability to recover from an opioid addiction is much more difficult for someone who's experiencing it.
And you have seen many more young people in the throes of this addiction in the last few years? I guess last, 5 to 10 years?
Correct. I think the opioid addiction affects a vast amount of people. And it often can bring someone into the street. And unfortunately, with the opioid addiction, it can also be deadly. And because of the hold that this addiction has on people and what it can cause people to do, they'll do almost anything to continue to feed the addiction. They lose their family, their jobs, their communities, and end up on the streets. So it has fueled homelessness both in Philadelphia and around our country.
So tell me what you do, Project Home does, when you see someone homeless, whether it's an opioid addict on the street or otherwise. What is the protocol that you follow? How do you help these people?
There's many different ways to assist people experiencing homelessness. And the first is to build a relationship of trust with them, and then have the ability and capacity to actually offer them something that they want, and that is a real roadmap to get home, as opposed to just a revolving door that leads nowhere. Many times shelters or overnight places, it can just be a revolving door that doesn't go anywhere.
So how do you build the trust, that which you said is the groundwork for this?
Well, it's through the relationships. It's through authentic relationships. That's the way we all build trust,
Absolutely.
whether you're homeless or you're not. So it's meeting a person every day. Hello, how are you? What can we do? What's going on?
Do you target people that you know are on the street in a certain location and try and do it that way through that?
Let me just say this. At Project Home and in the city of Philadelphia, there's teams of people that go out into the streets during the day and in the evening hours. And those teams of people have a variety of skills and resources. So there's peer support specialists that go out.
Rashann was doing
Correct.
that. Yeah.
So someone like Rashann, who has experienced homelessness, will go out and speak and engage with people that are on the street.
Yeah.
We have people with behavioral health expertise, people who know how to access treatment and services, both treatment for addiction as well as treatment for mental illness, that also go out in the street and engage folks. We consolidate that information via a computer or computers every single day. So you can see, if you're an outreach worker, that this person has been contacted before. Who's the person's primary caseworker? What has been offered in the past, so that you can either offer something new or repeat the offer.
So it's a whole system that you haven't. Is this unique to Philly? I know you are at a pioneer. Project Home is. Do other cities have this sort of system in place?
So Philadelphia, we actually created the first outreach coordination center in the country in the 80s, and over time, other cities have built upon that, done things differently. We've learned from other cities as well, and we continue to learn and grow and refine and make improvements to the outreach system. But the system only works if you have affordable housing to offer at the end of the day, right? Outreach is only as good as the resources that are available to help a person on their journey home.
And do you have that?
We have some, but the resources are insufficient, not only in Philadelphia, but around the country. In fact, Philadelphia is lucky in many respects. Of the 10 largest cities, we have the highest poverty rate. But of the 10 largest cities, we have the lowest number of people living on the street. I
saw that statistic, and I wonder if it has something to do with Project Home.
Well, it has something to do with the city of sisterly affection and brotherly love. That the solution to ending homelessness lies within all of us. There's no one organization. There is no one person. It takes everybody to...
But it also takes coordination. And that's why someone like you is so important. I mean, people mean well. They want to help, but it seems like a hopeless situation. One of the things that you've done, it seems to me, that's unusual, extraordinary, is your ability to gather resources, support, get people, affluent people, to understand this issue and to give to it. It's a fundraising endeavor of a massive sort. How do you do that?
Well, I think you probably understand how we do it because of just being with Rashann for the short amount of time that you are. When you hear someone's story and you see the potential and the gifts in a person's life, you want to provide the opportunities like we've been provided with for people to grow and develop and succeed and to be the future leaders of our communities. And it's really part of the American dream, equal opportunity for all. Potential is equally distributed, but opportunity isn't. So it's incumbent upon all of us in small and big ways to create those opportunities. So I believe when people come and meet leaders like Rashann and the many, many, many other people here at Project Home, they want to be involved in providing those opportunities for others to succeed, because all of us have been provided those opportunities as well, and it's playing it forward.
So it's a matter of making available to them these stories, which is what
and
you
the people themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, we just don't tell people.
Yeah.
I mean, we just don't tell
you have
stories.
The people come in.
People meet other people, and the values of compassion. Compassion is action. Compassion changes all of us. It's not a one-way street. I'm a different person for having been involved in Project Home. I'm a very different person for having been involved in Project Home. So it's a continued transformational story of individuals, but more importantly, of our community. We have to change and do things differently. We have to get more involved and be agents of transformation.
That's very eloquent. I want to switch gears a moment and talk about the actual situation of people walking down the street and seeing a homeless person. I know that Pope Francis has said that giving to those in need is always good. Do you agree with that? Giving money if you see somebody who asks you for it on the street, is that the right way to respond? I think many people just don't know what to do. We're told different things. Oh, they'll just use it for drugs, or oh, it's not the way to go.
Well, the thing is, there is no one response. I think Pope Francis his experience is South America, where people are just very, very poor. So there, the appropriate answer may be to give people money or to give people the resources that they need. People who are on the streets of Philadelphia today, that can change the way things are going. It could change dramatically in the future, but today, many people on the street are actively addicted. So what's important is to engage authentically, sincerely with the people that you meet, and then provide them, with whatever works. So it may be offering to take them to get a cup of coffee, or providing them with food or something like that. And it may not be giving them money, because of their situation, but rather encouraging them to seek help that they need.
It's such a hard thing, though, isn't it, Sister Mary, you say engage and to have a conversation, take them over to Dunkin' Donuts, get them a cup of coffee. First of all, one doesn't necessarily have the time in the day to do that. I understand the thought, but it's a hard thing. And then my other question connected to this is, people feel that, what do you say to people who feel that homelessness is a blight on their neighborhood or hurts the revitalization of the downtown district? These things are in a tension.
Right.
What do you say to that?
Well, I think the tension's a healthy tension. Like, what I see is that homelessness is a prophetic sign saying that there's something radically wrong in our community. So we have to, change. It's not okay that anybody's living on our streets. I mean, we don't want people living on our streets. We want people, to have homes. And so do the people that are living on our streets. I mean, they need help and they need a pathway home. People who are homeless are not the problem. Like, it's not a crime to be homeless. The problem is homelessness.
Yeah.
So as a citizen, we have to do something about the systemic, economic, and racial disparities in our community. That's a big job.
It is.
And it's not going to be
daunting.
done. It's not going to be done in a day. But blaming the people that are experiencing homelessness is not the answer. The blight on our community is the economic and racial disparities. It's not the people who have been devastated by them.
So we need to work on that. And the other, I spoke to somebody in your office who said, there are cards that one can give out to people who are homeless that gives them information about Project Home. That, to me, strikes me as a good concrete thing that maybe viewers can think about.
That's one thing. And the other thing viewers hopefully will consider is registering to vote and making the change. Because again, as I said, no one organization, including Project Home, has the answers for everybody. We have to, we cannot house everybody that comes to our door every day. We don't have that kind of capacity. So it's incumbent upon
We have to change the
all
structure
of us,
or aspects of our society.
Aspects, and then get involved. I mean, you say the single most important thing tending homelessness today is affordable housing. The single most important thing tending homelessness in the future is a quality education for every single child.
And healthcare.
And healthcare, access to healthcare, and jobs at livable wages. I mean, over the past, from 2010 to 2016 in Philadelphia, we lost 20% of all affordable housing units. Not just people experiencing homelessness, but people who are working can't afford, safe and decent housing that's affordable. So hopefully, seeing someone that's homeless is a wake-up call to us to be more actively engaged in our society, because we have to be the change that we want to see. no one's going to do it for us, right?
Yeah.
We have to do it. And there's so many young people and organizations that give us such great hope for the future and inspire us to do even more. So at Project Home, what we've learned over the years is that vision that none of us are home until all of us are home is so vitally important and challenges us each day to do a little more, because what affects one of us directly affects all of us indirectly, as Dr. Martin Luther King has taught us, that we're one human family. And
well, you are certainly the spokesperson for this, who has made such a difference for Philadelphia. But as you say, it can't be in the hands of one person.
No.
So thank you so much for being with us today, Sister Mary.
My pleasure, Paula.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us today at the Civil Discourse.